Aibon. So today we're going to have a look at the practice questions in book 15. Okay. So as you always know, the first 4 tests are for the academic students. Now, just a quick review. Now, I see some of you telling, there were some comments stating that the lessons are going completely in English and could we support you more in Sinhala. Now, the whole purpose of this level would be to kind of guide you and speak in English so that you are able to face the exam well, okay? So that's the reason we're going completely in English and I'm not using Sinhala. So the whole purpose of it would be to speak only in English and to help you and support you to get a better score, right? So we'll start off with the lesson, and also, as I always tell you, these lessons are quite long. So there's no rush for you to complete it. Take your time, slowly go through it and complete the tests, okay, which is relevant for you. So if you're doing academic, the academic tests. If you're doing general, the general tests. The chart below shows the results of a survey about people's coffee and tea buying and drinking habits in 5 Australian cities. So, let's have a look at it. We've got Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide and Hobart, right? And bought fresh coffee in last 4 weeks. So this one here is fresh coffee bought in the last 4 weeks. So the second one is the instant coffee. So there we go. The pink dots are for the instant coffee. And then we have went to a cafe or coffee or tea in the last 4 weeks. Okay. So you go to a cafe and you get tea or coffee. So everything is within the last 4 weeks, if you can see here. Fresh coffee, instant coffee, coffee or tea. Right. So I'd like you to pause the video here and write your answer. Have a look at the highest buying and drinking habits. Okay. Which one is the highest? Which one has the least buying and drinking habits? Okay. Which city has the most buying and drinking habits? Which city has the least buying and drinking habits? Okay. So take 20 minutes and write your answer, and then we will have a look at a sample. Alright, so hopefully you finished writing your answer. Let's write a sample together. The given bar chart illustrates the percentage of residents coffee and tea purchasing and consuming habits in the last 4 weeks in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide. Oh, no, we have one more, no? Hobart is there. Brisbane, Adelaide and Hobart. Overall, it is evident that going to a cafe to have coffee or tea was the most common habit except in Adelaide. Additionally, the percentage of people buying instant coffee was always higher than that of those purchasing fresh coffee in all cities. Next para. In terms of Sydney and Melbourne, while the percentage of Sydney's people drinking tea or coffee at a cafe was about 61%. The figure for Melbourne was slightly higher at around 63%. Meanwhile, above 45% residents in Sydney and Melbourne had a habit of buying instant coffee, whereas the proportions of those purchasing fresh coffee in these two cities were around 44% and 43% respectively. Moving on to the remaining cities, having coffee or tea at a cafe accounted for the largest percentage of people in Hobart, followed by Brisbane and Adelaide at approximately 51% and 49% respectively. At the same time, around 53% of people in Brisbane and Hobart chose to buy instant coffee compared to nearly 50% of those in Adelaide. Finally, a close similarity can be seen in the percentage of people buying fresh coffee in Brisbane and Adelaide at around 34%, while Hobart's figure was roughly around 58%. Right, so if you can see here, we've written the paragraphs, okay. So I've done the intro and then I've done the overall view and then I put Sydney and Melbourne together, okay. So the reason why I did that was it was, you know, the highest here and here, but obviously Hobart was also there. But if you see in terms of all three, right, tends to be that talking about these two are okay because not just one is high, comparatively all three seem okay than these three. There were lots of differences in these. All three seemed quite similar, right? So I took Sydney and Melbourne together and then I put Brisbane, Adelaide and Hobart together. It doesn't have to go that way. You can think about a way to put it together. It's just what I thought, okay? So I put Sydney and Melbourne in terms of drinking tea and coffee was about 61% or a bit more than that, I would say close to 65%, so roughly above 60%, okay? And then I spoke about the others as well, okay, in terms of the other two categories. Now, when it came to the next para, what I did was I spoke about the three remaining cities, which was Hobart, Adelaide and Brisbane, okay? And I've put down the figures and I've spoken about the similarities and the differences a bit. So you can pick and choose how you want to do it. I thought I'll do it this way, but if you feel there's a better way to categorize it, please do so and add it as a comment so we can go through it as well, okay? All right, so moving on, we are moving to task 2, okay? Now here, let's have a look at the question. So let's have a look at the question. In some countries, owning a home rather than renting one is very important for people. Why might this be the case? So kind of a direct question. Why do you think in some countries owning a house is very important? So it could be for social status, okay? It could be that you need security for different reasons. Do you think this is a positive or negative situation? So what do you think about it? Good or bad? Okay? So I'd like you to take 40 minutes and write an answer and then, right, I'll put down an answer. I will have a look at it after that, okay? It's not like I'm going to put down a student answer. I'm going to write a student answer, okay? And then we can have a look at it and see what kind of score would that student get, okay? So let's do this task first. Take 40 minutes and after you finish, I'll write down an answer so that you can have a look at it and then we can discuss and see what kind of score the student might get. Off you go, you've got 40 minutes. Alright, so let's have a look at an answer, right? So, this is like a student's answer, okay? I'm going to write it. So there might be mistakes, okay? There might be positives, there might be spelling mistakes, there might be punctuation mistakes. So let's watch through it carefully and then decide, is it going to be a 5 or is it going to be a 6 or is it going to be a 7? So you are going to try to now give it a mark, okay? So let me write it down. In some countries, the ownership of people's home is an important matter. In these countries, it is very important to own your own home rather than renting it. Now let's write down the next para. Why is that the case? You might wonder I think it is because your home is supposed to be exactly what it sounds like your home. As a human, I think we long after having stuff to call our own. Doesn't matter what it is, but humans will always claim ownership. Right, so I've started this kind of answer, okay. Now if you have a look at this, I want to just pinpoint on these features, okay. So avoid using question tags like this. You might wonder, like a storytelling, don't use those kind of phrases, okay. It's nice for you if you're actually, doing a different piece of writing, but we're looking at an academic piece of writing, so avoid question tags and storytelling, kind of forms of writing, okay. Student but is using some good sentence structures, certain ones, I've not written everything, just a bit here, okay. So, but still there are also some grammar errors, okay. So what I wanted to point out in this was you can start with the intro, but your own home rather than renting, very, very similar to the original one. So think about how you can paraphrase this bit as well, okay. So I wanted to pick up on these few. If we have a look at it in detail, we could come up, but for this bit, I think if you just look at it without the entire bit, I thought this bit was fairly okay. Okay, so think about it when you're doing it, and maybe the student will get a 5 or 6. Actually, we can't tell it, even though I asked you to tell it, right? Because I'm not going to write everything. I just wanted to pick up on certain points that some students do, or some mistakes that students do when writing answers, okay? So hopefully you've written a good answer, okay? And you could then put it in the comments section so we could have a look at it, okay? Right, so we're going to have a look at the next task, task 1. The graph below shows the number of tourists visiting a particular Caribbean island between 2010 and 2017. So let's have a look at it. Number of tourists visiting a Caribbean island, okay? Visitors staying on cruise ships, visitors staying on an island, and then the total number of visitors, okay? So this is like a line graph, and I'd like you to take 20 minutes and write down the answer. So hopefully you finished writing it. Let's write down an answer, right? The given line graph illustrates the number of travelers who came a Caribbean island from 2010 to 2017. Overall, there is an upward trend in the group of people who stayed in cruise ships from 2011 to 2017, while travelers staying on the island, staying in the island decreased during the same period. In 2007, the number of people who stayed on cruise ships was about 0.3 million. It continued to rise to 2.5 million people in 2011 and started to slowly increase to 2 million in the 2012 to 2017 period. Continue. The total number of people who came to this island in 2010 was about 1 million, much more than the people who stayed on ships, and it had reached the peak of 3.5 million people from 2011 to 2017. Next one. While for the people who stayed on the island, the figure was much higher, with almost 1 million people in 2010. It leveled off at 1.5 million in 2013 and started to slightly reduce by 0.5 in 2016. After that, it recovered to 1.5 million people in 2017, which was a much smaller amount compared to those who stayed on the cruise ships. So here, let me just go through it. Right, so when we come here, the given line graph illustrates the number of travelers who came to a Caribbean island from 2010 to 2017, right? Then we have the overall view where there is an upward trend in the growth of people. So there is an upward trend, okay? So even cruise ships, there is an upward trend. Visiting, of course, it levels off and there is a decline. And then the total number, of course, is an upward trend, okay? So here we say that there's an upward trend in the group of people who stayed on cruise ships from 2011 to 2017, while travelers staying on the island decreased during the same period. So this one here, on the island and on the cruise ships. I think this should be on cruise ships, on the island, okay? So here in 2010, the number of people who stayed on cruise ships was about 0.3, and I talk about it, right? And then when we come here, we talk about who stayed on the island, okay? So you can decide how you want to kind of talk about it. You could speak about one, okay, and then speak about the next one, and then speak about the total, or you can just merge the total to either paragraph, because it's just a trend there, upward trend there, okay? And that's how I've written it. So I'd like you to go through this answer and see how it is against what you have written. Right, so moving on, we have our task 2. in the future, nobody will buy printed newspapers or books. Nobody. Because they will be able to read everything they want online without paying. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So you can say, well, I agree 100%. I disagree 100%. Or you can say, well, it depends. Some people might not always want to do it online. So for an example, like, the aged, or, like my father, my mother, they're very old and they don't see the point of going online and they can't really go online. So they read the hard copy. Okay. So what do you think? Okay. What I think is, I think the younger generation, yes, they would like to read newspapers or books online, the e-version. However, I think the older generation would still prefer to buy the hard copy. And personally, some people like the touch and the feel of the book or the newspaper. So it would be good to go and buy it. Okay. So what do you think about it? I'll give you 40 minutes. Write down your answer. Right, so I hope you would have finished writing your answer now. Let's have a look at a student answer. So here is an answer which got a band score of 6, okay. So I'd like you to pause through and read through it. The student does achieve the task in the sense covers answering the question to a certain extent, okay. Simple sentence structures tend to be accurate. Trying to write complex sentence structures. Lexis seems okay, which is related to the topic, and use of cohesive devices are there as well, right? Student's opinion is also there given. So this would award the student a 6.0. But that paragraphing needs to be done clearly and it could improve, but at this level it would be a 6.0. Okay. So hopefully you've written an answer and that would be obviously, it needs to be assessed by someone, but you could compare it against this and see what your level is in terms of the marking criteria. Alright, so moving on to the next one. So you can pause this, okay, and then go through the essay that the student has written. I don't want to read it because it's quite clear here. So you could go through it, pause it and read it and then see, okay, against the marking criteria, what are the positive features the student has to get a 6.0, okay. Now we have test 3, academic writing task 1. The diagram below shows how instant noodles is being manufactured, okay. So there's a whole process. You have the storage silos and you have the flour. You put them and then you mix it, okay. You put water and oil and then you run it through the rollers. The dough sheets come out. Then that goes through the machine and they become dough strips. And then you have the noodle discs and then cooking. The oil and the drying is done here, right. And then of course you add the vegetable and the spices into the cups. And it moves through and then the labeling and the sealing is done and then the noodles cups comes out, the instant noodles. So I'd like you to take 20 minutes, pause the video here and write down a good answer. Alright, so here let's have a look at a student sample answer. Now here this is an answer where a student got 6.5. So you know now 6.5 means all features of 6 and some positive features of 7, right? So without saying the given scheme, you can say the given process explains or the given picture explains the process of instant noodles. If you put process here, then you don't need process here. You know, you have to make sure that you structure it in a proper manner, okay? So it talks about in general, the student is signposting for an overall view, right? So overall, there are 8 stages of the manufacturing before the final product is being delivered. And then the student starts with the first, then, okay, the following, at this moment. And the student is signposting, finally, okay. And then again, the student puts an overall one. So here and there you can see punctuation errors, but overall I think the student has shown clear progression step by step using signposting words. Simple as well as trying to write complex, which to a certain extent is accurate. So this would award, or this kind of answer would award the student a 6.5. Okay. So I'm sure you would have written similar words and the similar stages explained well. Okay. You could pause again and have a look at how the student has structured. Don't memorize this because there's no guarantee saying that you're going to get this. These are only practice questions. Okay. Right, and then obviously the range of grammar is being delivered. Okay. So you have to understand the range of grammar tenses to use. Now, we've done the different tenses separately. We've done active voice, passive voice, but this is where everything comes into place, okay? You learn it isolated. Present tense, present perfect, present continuous. But when you're writing something, you can see that the tenses are mixed and you start writing a proper answer, okay? That is depending on your timeline only. We can use the different tenses. Right, so with that we come to the task 2 in test 3. Some people say that advertising is extremely successful at persuading us to buy certain things. Other people think that advertising is so common that we no longer pay attention. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Okay, so extremely successful, no longer pay attention. Personally, it depends, okay, so you could take advertising as a very popular way and could be really successful sometimes, depending on your product and service, okay. But some people could say we no longer actually pay attention. Personally, I don't pay attention because I don't watch half of the ads, but I mean, there are pros and cons of each one, right? So you could decide what you want to, which side you want to select. Do you think it's extremely successful, or do you think, no, people don't pay attention to it? Okay. Right. So as I always tell you, have a little sketch, plan your answer, and then start writing. I hope you're doing that. Okay. I want all of you to do it because that's the way where you plan. If you plan well, your coherence and cohesion is there. So you'll be using the linkers and the clear progression is there, and we can see that you are going step by step. So you write the intro, then you write body 1, which is you think extremely successful. Then you could think paying attention, no longer pays attention, and maybe in the conclusion you write your opinion along with the concluding idea. Okay, so you can structure it as you think would be really good and then start writing it. So you have 40 minutes to do that. Right, so I hope you would have finished writing your answer. Let's write a sample answer. Okay, so let's start down to write. Some people believe that advertising can heavily influence consumers' buying behavior, while others claim that it is so common that people no longer pay attention. although social media has made advertising more common than ever before, I think it is still extremely powerful because it creates desire for the products it is selling. Next para. On the one hand, it can be argued that social media platforms feed users with tremendous amounts of advertising. On these platforms, there are endless advertisements. What's more, even the pictures and videos that influencers post about their daily lives can be a promotion of a certain brand. As a consequence, people may become very insensitive to what those advertisements and promotional posts are saying, and just scroll through their feed as quickly as possible. However, I disagree with this argument because if advertising on social media didn't yield sales, some social media companies and influencers would not become so wealthy. Moving on the other hand, it is thought that advertisers are very good planting a seed of desire in the consumer's minds. For instance, many fair cream companies means companies that sell fair cream. Okay, sorry, not fair cream companies, let's say fair cream manufacturers. Use fair models in their commercials to send women the message that if they use their cream, they can be fair as those models. Continue. The message arouses their desire to become fair, and as a result they purchase it even though they do not want to be fair. I agree with the above because I have purchased unnecessary things which I wouldn't even have thought of buying if advertisers hadn't planted the ideas in my head. Lastly, I'm writing my conclusion. While the overwhelming amount of advertising on social networking sites may make people immune to it. I believe it is still very effective because it creates the desire. මෙතනින්ද ඉන්නට මාත් එක්ක ගන්න. Creates the desire in consumers to buy the product. Right, so here I've got a complete answer, right? So I've written as to why it would sometimes be that, you know, it's really good, okay? Social advertising can boom. Why is it, okay? Because sometimes people just, you know, the first para, okay, talks about how social platforms are good, they advertise, but because they keep on talking about things and because, you know, influencers, right, they use social media to talk about different things, people have become insensitive towards that. So they just go to the feed and they just scroll through, but they don't pay any attention, okay? That's one aspect. However, the other aspect is that it does influence. So what I see is a lot of people want to be fair, right? And you see lots of fairness creams and injections and all these things being advertised, right? And people actually want to be fair, okay? Even if they didn't have the desire before, she's fair, right? So you have that real fear, okay? And you buy it. Now, there are so many things at my place that I've just bought, okay? They're not fairness creams, obviously, okay? But there are things that, you know, I've also bought and they're really unnecessary. I see it and I go, why not buy that? You know, that's good, this is good, that is good, right? And in the end, we don't even really use it, okay? So in conclusion, it could be that, you know, overwhelming amount of Advertising is there on social networking sites, but it still creates that desire for consumers. That's what I would feel. Even though I don't watch it, okay, I still could feel it would help. Or you can say no, people are completely, they've shut themselves down, they don't take any advertising. You could even say that based on the points that you give. Alright, so moving on, we're going to have a look at the last test for academic students. The chart shows below what anthropology graduates from one university did after finishing their undergraduate degree course. It's not anthropology, it's anthropology. Okay. The table shows the salaries of the anthropologist in work after 5 years. Okay. So here we have a pie chart and we have a table. Okay. So here we can see the destination of anthropology graduates, okay? 52%, which is the majority, nearly more than half, okay, go into full-time work. The second highest is when they go into part-time work. Third is that they go unemployed, which is 12%, okay? And then equal percentages for full-time postgrad study, and we really don't know, okay? 5% is part-time work plus postgrad study. So salaries is that if you're a freelance consultant, okay, 25,000 to nearly 50,000 is 5% and it goes up, okay? Government sector and private companies also there. So you can see highest is for freelance consultants, okay? No, really. For 100,000 above, it's for government sector, okay? But here as well, in terms of freelance, 75,000 to 100,000 freelance consultants. So it changes, okay? Right, so I'd like you to take 20 minutes and write down your answer. All right, so hopefully you've written your answer. Let's have a look at a student's sample answer. So this was an answer written by a candidate and this student got a 6.0. So as I tell you, pause the video and go through it because now you know I've done it so many times with you, right? We're into book 15 now. We've done so many books, you know what a band score of 6 means. So I'd like you to go through this, right? Have a look at the 4 marking criteria: task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, as well as grammar. Okay, so go through it and then have a look at it and see, okay, where do I stand in terms of my answer? All right. So here, task achievement has been completed, vocabulary has been used. Again, simple and complex sentence structures are used. Complex is accurate to a certain extent. Okay. Coherence and cohesion, use of cohesive devices and collocations are there. Okay, so have a look at it. So, with that we come to the end. So now we come into test 2, which is the last test for academic students. In some cultures, children are often told that they can achieve anything if they try hard. What are the advantages and disadvantages of giving children this message? So this is an advantage-disadvantage style essay. So lots of cultures say, okay, try hard, and if you try hard, you can achieve anything. That's what we tell our kids, okay? What are the positives? What are the negatives of doing so, okay? So first plan your answer for a few minutes and then write the answer. You have 40 minutes to do that. Alright, so let's have a look at a sample answer. And here is an answer which got a 6.5 score. Now here also you can see the student is using some question tags, okay, which we should avoid. But overall the student is showing clear progression using vocabulary related to the topic, okay, and showing, to sum up, signposting for the structure, okay, use of cohesive devices. So student has achieved all of 6 and some positive features of 7, okay. So I think this is fairly a good answer, okay. So 6.5 isn't a bad score, but it depends on what score you want. If you want a 7 above, then you've got to work harder than what you see here on the screen, okay. Alright, so now we move into the general book, okay. So if you're an academic student, we've discussed all the answers. Now from here onwards, it is for the general students. So let's have a look at test 8, task 1. A friend of yours is thinking of going on a camping holiday for the first time this summer. He or she has asked for your advice. So this is to a friend and we know it is informal. So write a letter to your friend, explain why you think your friend would enjoy a camping holiday. Describe some possible disadvantages. Say whether you would like to go camping with your friend this summer, okay. So 3 things: why enjoy a camping holiday, okay. Describe possible disadvantages and like to go camping with your friend. So take 20 minutes and write your answer. Remember, this is an informal letter. Alright, so hopefully you've finished, right? Let's have a look at a sample answer. So let's write to my friend. Dear Jenny, hope you're keeping well. It's good to hear. Oh, it's so good to hear that you're intending to go on a camping holiday. It should be this summer, okay? Right. Next para, I think that you should go for a camping holiday because my past camping experience was great. After all, this camping holiday will offer you the opportunity to take a long walk in the wilderness and observe nature in its true habitat. you can also go to a nearby fishing lake. Go to a nearby lake for fishing or swimming which you have always wanted to do, but the best thing about this camping holiday will be that it will actually improve your mood and spice up you. And no, let's say spice you up like nothing else. Having said that, next para. There are some disadvantages of such camping holidays, such as sharing bathrooms with other people at the campsite, bad weather, and dealing with bug bites and dangerous animals. Last para, anyway, I would, no, let's change it. Anyway, I also would have loved to go camping with you this summer, but since my cousin is visiting me from abroad, this summer, I'll have to give up on that idea. Edita මාත් එක්ක ගන්න. Take care with lots of love, Amy. Right, so here I've got the intro para, okay, and then I've explained why it's a good idea to go camping, okay, and I've spoken about the disadvantages. Alright, so before, say whether you would like to go camping with your friend. So I tell my friend, yes, I'd like to go camping with you, but unfortunately I can't because my cousin is coming from abroad, okay. So I then write my name and sign it off, right. So I say, okay, with lots of love, Amy. Right, so I hope you would have written a similar answer. Let's have a look at task 2. In many countries today, crime novels and TV crime dramas are becoming more and more popular. Why do you think these books and TV shows are popular? What is your opinion of crime fiction and TV crime dramas? Okay, so this is like a direct question. This is more like an opinion essay. They're asking you, which one do you think, which one? What is your opinion? What do you think about the crime fiction and TV crime dramas? So again, plan your answer. Take a few minutes, plan your answer, and then start writing. You have 40 minutes to do that. I hope you would have finished writing your answer. Let's have a look at a student sample one. Now here, the student gets a 7.5, which is a good score, right? So if you read this, the reason behind the rising popularity of crime novels and TV dramas lies with the fact that the reality transmitted in the show or the book is your own. Nice sentence structures, okay? Simple and complex are accurate. Good use of vocabulary which is related to the topic. Cohesive devices used to link the ideas well, okay? Small things are there that we relate, you know. Small things are there, but nicely written, nicely linked, okay? Good range of lexis, okay? Good range of building up the answer, right? And there's examples, the topic sentence, and then the supporting sentences. That structure is very clear as well. So this answer is a good one, and it's got all the features of a 7 and some positive features of an 8 answer, which is good. So I'd like you to read it through, and if you feel your lexis is not up to this, then jot down some words and try to rewrite your essay again. Alright, moving towards test B now, the second test. A museum near your home is looking for people to do part-time voluntary or unpaid work, and you would like to do some voluntary work at the museum. Write a letter to the museum director, formal, to apply for the unpaid work. Explain why you want to do voluntary work or unpaid work. Describe some skills and qualities you have that would be useful, and give details of when you would be available for work. So 3 things to focus on. Take 20 minutes and write your answer. So hopefully you finished. Let's write down an answer. Dear Sir, or Madam, I am writing in response to the vacancy advertised in the newspaper. The vacancy was vacancy announcement at your museum, because we are writing to the museum director, okay? So I'm writing in response to the vacancy announcement at your museum, okay? In which you have 4 people to do part-time voluntary or unpaid work. I would like to work for your museum as a volunteer, and I am hoping that you would give me the opportunity. Next para. I am interested in taking up this great opportunity because I think that it would allow me to learn some great skills to have a better career in the future. Besides, it would also help me understand many important facts about my country's history, which I would probably never know otherwise. Next para. Regarding my skills. So I'm signposting to say that these are my skills, right? I have good computer skills and I also know how to work well in a team environment with other people. Further, I have taken an art history class in high school to help me understand and appreciate the value of artworks. On top of that, I also live close to the museum which would really make it easy for me to commute. So, if you choose to hire me for this voluntary position, I will work hard to add value to your team. I am available to work every day from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. except on Sunday, and if you decide to hire me, I can start right away. I am hoping to hear a positive response from you. Yours faithfully, Richard Stevens. Okay, so here I've done a little intro. Okay, a little bit of intro here, right? And then I moved into why I want this work. And then I've explained the skills that I have and when I can start work and which days I can work. Right, so let's have a look at the next activity, which is writing task 2, right? Now, it says nowadays many people complain that they have difficulties getting enough sleep. What problems can lack of sleep cause? So here you have to write down the problems. And what can be done about lack of sleep? So what are the solutions? So this is like a problem solution essay. So I'm going to give you 40 minutes, jot down the answer, and then we'll have a look at a sample answer. Alright, so you would have completed your answer by now. Let's have a look at a sample answer. Now here, this is a band score 7 answer. Okay, so that clear structure of course is there in this specific answer, right? And you could go through it, pause the video and read it through, because there's no point in me reading it to you again, okay, because it's already there. But the most important point is you look at it, and if there are good words, good phrases, okay, good sentence patterns, write it down so that you could use them when you are writing another essay related to this specific topic, right? So please pause the video and go through the answer. Right, so moving on to test C, writing task 1. A friend of yours, actually it should be a friend of yours, okay? A friend of yours is thinking about applying for the same course that you did at university. He or she has asked for your advice about studying this particular subject. So friend means you know it is an informal letter. Write a letter to your friend. In your letter, give details of the course you took at university, explain why you recommend the university, and give some advice as to how to apply. Alright? So I'd like you to take 20 minutes and write down your answer. Alright, so hope you finished writing the answer. Let's write an answer together. Dear Emily, hope you're keeping well. I'm writing with regard to your choice of a university course. I studied marketing at Edith Cowan University. I found this course really useful because it combines theoretical aspects with the practical examples. My degree has helped me greatly to not only find jobs but also to get promotions. Next para. Edith Cowan University is an excellent choice because it has the leading business school in the country. By studying there, you will not only get a great education, but you will also have a qualification from the most prestigious university in the country. Continue. This is extremely important when you're trying to get that first job. Next para. The easiest way is to apply is online. Now, the easiest way to apply is online. Okay, you've just got to make sure that you've scanned all the relevant documents to upload to the system. Make sure you've got your high school results and you'll also need your birth certificate. Please let me know if you have any questions. With lots of love, Manga. Right? So here I've written an intro and then my 3 body paras, and finally please let me know if you have any questions or if you want to know more details. Okay, so please let me know if you could even say please let me know if you want so. Okay, with lots of love, Manga. Alright, so hopefully you've written a similar answer. We're moving into task 2. In the future, more people will choose to go on holiday in their own country and not travel abroad on holiday. Do you agree or disagree? Okay, so which one? Agree or disagree? What is it that more people will choose to go on holiday in their own country and not travel abroad? So what do you think? Agree or disagree? Plan your answer, take 40 minutes and write your answer. So I hope you would have finished writing your answer by now. Let's have a look at a sample answer, and here is a band score answer. So you know now the structure of it. Why do we give a band score? 6. Okay. Simple sentence structures are accurate. Writing complex, maybe not very good. Lexis, there is arranged using the words and they are accurate, using some level of cohesive devices. Okay. And the clear progression and answering the question is there to a certain extent. Okay. So I'd like you to pause the video and read through the answer, okay? And if there are some good points, you can add it to your answer as well, okay? Right, then coming to our last test, task 1, okay? You have seen an advertisement from a couple who live in Australia for someone to teach their 2 children your language for a year. Okay. Write a letter to the couple. So we saw another letter to a couple, but that was to babysit their baby, right? This is to teach their 2 children your own language. Explain why you think you would be suitable for the job. Say what else you could do for the family and give your reasons for wanting the job. So I'm going to give you 20 minutes to write your answer. Alright, so hope you finished writing the answer. Let's write an answer together. Dear Emily, hope you're keeping well. I'm writing with regard to your choice of a university course. I studied marketing at Edith Cowan University. I found this course really useful because it combines theoretical aspects with the practical examples. My degree has helped me greatly to not only find jobs but also to get promotions. Next para. Edith Cowan University is an excellent choice because it has the leading business school in the country. By studying there, you will not only get a great education, but you will also have a qualification from the most prestigious university in the country. Continue. This is extremely important when you're trying to get that first job. Next para. The easiest way is to apply is online. Now, the easiest way to apply is online. Okay, you've just got to make sure that you've scanned all the relevant documents to upload to the system. Make sure you've got your high school results, and you'll also need your birth certificate. Please let me know if you have any questions. With lots of love, Manga. Right? So here I've written an intro and then my 3 body paras, and finally please let me know if you have any questions or if you want to know more details. Okay, so please let me know if you could even say please let me know if you want so. Okay, with lots of love, Manga. Alright, so hopefully you've written a similar answer. We're moving into task 2. In the future, more people will choose to go on holiday in their own country and not travel abroad on holiday. Do you agree or disagree? Okay, so which one? Agree or disagree? What is it that more people will choose to go on holiday in their own country and not travel abroad? So what do you think? Agree or disagree? Plan your answer, take 40 minutes and write your answer. So I hope you would have finished writing your answer by now. Let's have a look at a sample answer, and here is a band score answer. So you know now the structure of it. Why do we give a band score? 6. Okay. Simple sentence structures are accurate. Writing complex, maybe not very good. Lexis, there is arranged using the words and they are accurate, using some level of cohesive devices. Okay. And the clear progression and answering the question is there to a certain extent. Okay. So I'd like you to pause the video and read through the answer, okay? And if there are some good points, you can add it to your answer as well, okay? Right, then coming to our last test, task 1, okay? You have seen an advertisement from a couple who live in Australia for someone to teach their 2 children your language for a year. Okay. Write a letter to the couple. So we saw another letter to a couple, but that was to babysit their baby, right? This is to teach their 2 children your own language. Explain why you think you would be suitable for the job. Say what else you could do for the family and give your reasons for wanting the job. So I'm going to give you 20 minutes to write your answer. Alright, so hopefully you finished. And here is an answer from a student who got a band score 7. Okay, so dear sir, madam should come to the bottom. and then comma, okay? So I'd like you to have a look at the structure, the sentence structure, okay, and the points written there, okay? That is the most useful part here. The words, the linkers used, the cohesive devices, okay, linkers, the range of vocabulary, the sentence range, that is what I want you to observe in this sample answer again. All right. Faithfully. Okay, Vipa. Okay. So, the last task for you is going to be homework, okay, and that is an essay. In many countries, paying for things using a mobile phone app is becoming increasingly common. Does this development have more advantages or more disadvantages? Advantage, disadvantage one. Which one is better? Okay, does it have more advantages or does it have more disadvantages? So, I'd like you to do this for homework. All right, so coming to the end of the lesson, right, we have done a lot. We've had a look at the academic tests as well as the general tests, okay? So we've done all the practice questions in book 15. We've had a look at the 4 academic tests, the task 1 as well as the task 2, and then we've also had a look at the general tests, okay? I hope by now you have a good practice, and that is why I'm letting you go on your own and do things more on your homework, right? And then putting some answers on board so that we can have a look at it and see, okay, this has a 7, what are the good features, right? And you compare it against your marking criteria. So with that, we come to the end of the lesson where we had a look at all the practice questions for academic students as well as general students from the Cambridge Book 15.